Moya, wedding expert in New York City. In today's episode, I want to tell you about wedding vendors and their prices and why are they so high. It is true that when you say you have a wedding, the prices automatically go up. This is something that we all know about it. You know, when I started working, I used to make my own bouquets, and I used to work with florists that I knew, and I used to tell my couples, if you don't tell the florist it's for a wedding, you know, it'll be less expensive. And yeah, and it's true, but I learned now why. I learned why the prices are so jacked up. And the reason is because weddings are more difficult than any other event. And this is not arbitrary. I know it feels unfair to you, to the customer, to the couple. But in reality, it isn't from the vendor's perspective. So, okay, I'm going to give you an example. You probably know I've been a wedding officiant now for 14 years. That's my start. I started as a wedding officiant. I was never a wedding planner. I still don't consider myself to be a wedding planner. But I don't like to organize the big weddings. I'll tell you more later. But I was always a wedding officiant, and in the officiant world, my colleagues, I noticed a lot of them will charge depending on the amount of people that came to your wedding. And I didn't understand this. I didn't understand this policy. I thought it was completely arbitrary and unfair. So they would charge, you know, a modest amount. If it's just the two of you, it'll be probably $200 or $300 to officiate. But if you have 100 people and it's more expensive, you have 200 people, you know, it's like $700, $800, whatever. And I thought, that's so crazy. That's not right. I never done it. Even today, I never charge based on the number of people. But I was scratching my head. Why do you do that, and what's the logic? Why are you charging them more? Just because you know they are spending more? It's a more expensive wedding? What does that have to do with you? Because the job of the officiant is always the same. You stand there and you do a ceremony that typically would last 10, 15 minutes. So if you wanted to, like what I would do is I charge you extra if you want to add extra elements to your ceremony. So let's say, you know, I do my typical 10, 15 minute ceremony, but then you also want to do a hand fasting ritual and the candle ceremony, and maybe you want to do the wine box or, you know, the lace, whatever, right? Maybe you want to add some readings. So that's a little more elaborate. Now I have to prepare extra stuff. It takes up more of my time. And then, yes, I will charge you extra for a customized ceremony. But in my opinion, I charge for my work, and I still do that 15 years later. I never changed that. I charge for my work. I don't care how many people come to your wedding. It could be just the two of you. It will be the same money for me, because I charge for what I am worth for the work that I do. Anyway, but other officiants don't. They will charge according to the size of your wedding. And the reason why they do this is very simple, and I do understand it now. If you have a big wedding, the bigger the wedding, the more chances that things can go wrong. So if it's just the two of you, we only need 2 people to be there on time. You take the subway, you take an Uber, whatever, we're meeting at this time, this date, that's it. So as long as you're punctual, I'm on time, you're on time, we do the ceremony, pim pam poom, $200, $300, whatever, we're done. Now, you have 100 people, you have a wedding party, you have parents of the bride, parents of the groom, you have a DJ, you have photographers, you have a band playing or musicians. So there's more pieces, there's more elements, there's more people that can make it late. The hair and makeup lady, she can be late. That means you're running late. Maybe you're on time. The hair and makeup lady for you showed up on time. Your groom is there. but your father is stuck in traffic, or your best man, or your sister, or someone really important to you that you don't want to miss at your wedding. And so now here we are waiting for this person, making everything a little later. And so I think that's the reason why they charge a little more if it's a big wedding. It's also, I suppose, as a public speaker, it's also a little more involved and a little more of a challenge for some people to speak in front of 200 people as opposed to 3 or 4. But when it comes to the other vendors, they also charge you extra when it's a wedding. And the reason is, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's called the pain in the ass surcharge. They charge you extra based on the possibility that you may turn out to be a difficult client. And a lot of couples end up being difficult. They don't mean to. They're not difficult in regular life. Trust me on this. But what happens is that weddings are really triggers for everybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care what background you have, what age group. I don't care if it's the second marriage or third marriage. It doesn't matter. There's, for some reason, and I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know, but weddings, I know this for spending over a decade doing them and standing in front of the couples and interacting with the couples and their families, I realize something weird happens. Your mother, your siblings, your best man, your maid of honor, people just have strange reactions and they act out. Emotions run high and common sense is not always welcome when it comes to weddings. And also there is that perception of like, oh, it's okay. You know, subconsciously I think the brides think it's okay to be difficult. It's my wedding day. Everything should be about me. And it's not okay. You know, for the vendors who are working for you, the photographer, the videographer, the musicians, hair, makeup, whoever it is, whoever it may be, they're there to do a job which they do probably multiple times a day and a week. Most of us, we do a bunch of weddings in one day. Like I had Saturdays where I had 13 weddings. 13. Start at 10 in the morning, finish at 6 p.m. We have one back-to-back weddings. This is very common during wedding season because, you know, January, February, we usually are doing this. So during the spring and summer, we're really busy. This is our job, and we need to take as many jobs as we can. Everybody does. So, so if the couple is having trouble financially, emotionally, because that happens a lot too. You know, they hire things and then at the last minute they figure out they can't pay. This happened, I've seen it a few times where they're way over their heads and the time comes where they have to pay the balance and they're scrambling to make it happen because they had more expenses than they thought they were going to have. Then there's pressure from parents, pressures from in-laws, people telling you, do it this way, hire this person, do it that way. Oh no, you should listen to me. What did you do that for? Put this over here. No, put this over there. Oh, they should play this music. You should ask them to do this. You should ask them to do that. And then you go back to your vendors and you say, oh, I want this. But you told me, no, but now I want this way. Okay. And then you come back because your sister gave you a different feedback. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Now you change your mind again and you go back to them and then you change it again. Then the time changes, right? Sometimes even the date changes. I got a booking not too long ago. It was a big wedding and they wanted a permit for a part of the park that's $500 just to get the permit at the Conservatory Gardens, and we got it. We got the date that they wanted, and then they changed their mind because the brother of the bride wasn't able to make it on that day, and they just found out, so they moved it to a week before. And so, you know, we were lucky. We could get it changed. We were able to make it the change, but sometimes you can't, right? So you have to account for all of that. All of those little things, like, oh, I lost some of my vendors because some were available for the original date, but they were not available for the second date. So here I am giving people deposits and saving the date, and now the date changed, and now here I am losing my deposit. So for that reason is that wedding vendors are a little pricier. So here's a tip for you when you're hiring wedding vendors. I said this last week, I said this before when I was giving you advice about the videographer, but really that advice goes for everybody. You want to be as clear and as specific as possible. For me, I hate the phone call when people tell me, I never done this before, I don't know. I'm like, I get it. Nobody's done this before. Only I've done this 1,000 times. I do this every day, every week. I book vendors, I book venues, I put weddings together because that's my job. You don't do this every day, even if it's your second or third marriage. You only done it once or twice in your life. So it's a new experience for everybody. But that is no excuse to act like a little bitch. I don't know, I never done this before. I get it. You've never done this before. So the way to go about it is, listen, I just got engaged. I am exploring my options. We are thinking about doing something like this, A, B, and C. You have to have something, right? I mean, even if you haven't done this before, you've seen weddings on TV. So what kind of wedding do you want to have? Do you want to have an outdoors wedding or indoors wedding? Do you want to have 100+ people, or do you want to have elopement style and micro wedding with 30 or 40 of your closest friends and family members? You need to know these things. Those are basic things that you need to let us know when you call for a quote or advice or guidance. But they call, I don't know, I just want to know prices. Huh? And it's really, I get really irritated, let me tell you, because absolutely all of my prices are right there on my website. Everything is there. We don't hide anything. There's no tax, there's no fees, there's no gratuity hidden in there. There's nothing. It's just the number that you see on my website. That's what we charge. That's what you pay. You can pay with a credit card, and that's it. And I give you a very thorough description of each one of our packages and our services. I have photos and I have videos. So when they call me, I want a quote, I don't know, I never done this before. Well then, I know, I don't want to work with you. So when you get your act together, you sit down with your spouse-to-be and you figure out what kind of wedding you want to have, what are the things that you definitely need, an officiant, a photographer, maybe a bouquet. Do you want hair and makeup? Do you? You don't? You're going to do it yourself? All those are basic things that you need to know before you pick up the phone. And then you can ask for quotes. And nowadays, honestly, with Google and all the wedding sites, there's so many different platforms that you can just go there and do a lot of research and a lot of learning before you even pick up the phone. So just make sure for your successful wedding experience, before you start the conversation with any of your vendors, make sure that you are clear in what you want. Don't call and ask them and expect them to give you, you know what, you know why also? Some people are not really good at explaining or conversing or talking. This is another thing that is very true. Like I see that with some of my team members, some of my vendors. They are wonderful at what they do. They're great. Like I have amazing violin players, amazing musicians, and even, you know, the videographer, I outstanding editor and cameraman, but they are not perhaps the most personable people. So if they had to sell their own thing, I don't know that they could do it. I don't know if you call them and ask them, for guidance, I don't know that they could give it to you, but they could certainly answer specific questions you may have. Like, do you have 3 cameras? Do you come with 3 cameras? Do you provide, a lavalier microphone? If it's a musician, you tell them, do you need us to meet in person? Do you have a repertoire? Can you play the songs of my choice? Will you be playing during the ceremony or not, or after? I mean, all those are questions that you need to have and ask them at the time of hiring. The more clear and the more specific you are, the better chances that you have at having the price be lower. At least that's true for me. So when I get an email, I get an inquiry, and they know exactly what they want, and they tell me I need this, I want that, then I know they're intelligent people, they're straight to the point. I know we're not going to have any problems, and I can give them a really good price and say, okay, if you're ready, I know you're going to be on time. And then I always, of course, I have a late fee. So that's why my prices are always based on my work and my time. So as long as you are on time and everything goes smoothly, you can pay, our posted prices. Then, if things get complicated, people don't show up, we have to wait for this one, wait for that one, then there's going to be extra. I hope this was helpful. I'm sorry about the rant. For more tips like this, make sure to subscribe and like and comment and share. And if you didn't like it also, you can comment. I welcome your comments as well, especially if you identified with one of these difficult couples that I described. All right, wishing you all the best in your wedding journey. It's a lot of fun. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. And at the end of the day, remember, the vendors are there to make your day really special, and everybody wants to do well. Nobody wants to screw up. So you have to be a team player. You have to help them. Be kind and be generous with them. So what I mean by that is, don't try to negotiate prices. If someone gives you a price, that's the price. Now you can have an intuition, and you can sense that maybe their prices are not really set in stone, and maybe they're giving you price based on your venue, if you have a fancy venue, I don't know. If that's the case, then you can shop around. You say, thank you, bye. Or once again, be specific. Let's say you call a violin player and they tell you, well, it's $500 for 1 hour. That's really high. Even for New York standards, that's a high price. $500 for 1 hour violin? Yes. Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. I won't be using you. My budget was this. And maybe there you give them an opportunity to say, okay, I'll do it for that. Maybe. Again, be clear, be honest, and be very specific. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, my love.